Good morning. So this is going to be a video explaining the basics for an assignment, bird's eye view. Now this is the concept drawing worth 30 points. And you know that we're going to be using two vanishing points, one on the left here and one on the right. I'll put VP for vanishing points. And it's not that you always have to use those points, but for example, all of the pink lines here underneath the camera, all of these use either a right or a left vanishing point, but that's just the pink lines. The other lines can be free-handed or drawn with the aid of a ruler. But if you notice the base of all my objects, or in this case, the top of some objects, rely pretty heavily on the vanishing points for determining their shape. Even this checkerboard pattern receding into the distance, going back in space here towards the right vanishing point, this checkerboard pattern, each of these little boxes uses both a right and a left vanishing point, okay? This form right here, many of these lines are free-handed, but some of them use a vanishing point. The base, just a single line. This right side, going right, and although I didn't do it, this line right here going left, okay? So that one should have been reinforced with pink as well. Notice that this box right here utilizes the corners, not the whole line, but the corners to set up this three-dimensional form. So let's get started. Here is another example where the horizon line and the vanishing points are low on the page. This is not bird's eye view. Bird's eye view means that the vanishing points and this horizon line, eye level line, are actually high on the page. High on the page as if you were a very tall person, or high on the page as if you are a bird. Okay, so let's see how this goes. I'm going to take a single piece of concept paper and with my ruler going left to right, more or less horizontally, pushing it up the paper there and deciding where I want my horizon line. And I'm going to put it in lightly there with a vanishing point on the right and a vanishing point on the left. You do not have to indicate that those are the vanishing points, but you better be using those, okay? Off of the right vanishing point, I'm going to draw a series of radiating lines. Radiating means that they come right off the vanishing point, and they travel from the vanishing point in the right down to the left. The spacing on those is kind of up to you, how you want to do it. You will not use all of these lines, but you'll use many of these lines. The closer I get to the horizon line, the tighter I can become, because these distances are farther away. You would expect objects here, their bases, to be farther away and smaller, okay? Now I'm going to do the same thing over here with my left vanishing point. Radiating lines coming off the left vanishing point, very similar to what I just did from the right, and you notice the lines do cross, and where they cross, those potentially can be bases for some of my objects. Now I'm going to make you draw from a bird's eye level on this grid at least 5 forms, okay? So in this older picture here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then some additional, okay? The checkerboard really isn't a form, but it certainly does use the vanishing point. And you can do things if you want to up in the sky, but remember, with bird's eye view, you see less sky and more earth, more ground, because you're looking down at the ground, okay? So just FYI, a lot of this is ground. So what I can then start doing is, I'm going to use this line, I'm going to reinforce it, and this line as the base. Coming off the middle, I'm going to freehand that line, freehand that line, freehand that line, and then I think up here, I'm going to use, let me try that again. Let me come off of this point. This line that goes right, and this line that goes left, and I'll just erase these slightly darker lines. So there's my three-dimensional form. I only see 2 of the surfaces, the left side, the right side, the dark side, the bright side. Many of these lighter lines will eventually disappear, okay? But that's my first form. If I wanted to, using this angle, this slope, I can carve out a doorway. Now this is all free-handed, and I'm going to darken in there, okay? And take that out. Now, I'm going to go, since I have something here on the left side, I'm going to go over here on the right side and do something. Now, it looks like I could build back up again Or I could build down. So for example here, if I use, again, this edge and this edge and this edge, and I'm going to shape that edge a little differently. From some of these visible points, these front points, I'm going to come down. So I'm going to come down there, there, and there. And again, oh, let me pretend like this is hollow, and I'm going to come down there. That's a hollow space, and we can see inside the angle on the box there. It's like a box. I'm going to darken it a little bit. I think that'll better communicate for you what this is. It's an inside space right there. And there may actually be a little crease off of there, come to think of it, if I make that a corner. Let me make that darker, that little crease, for contrast. So it looks like there's a fold right there. So I'm indicating with value, light and dark, how light and shadow may fall on some of these, but remembering that this is a concept drawing, so you don't really have to do this. However, if rapidly scrubbing in a little bit of value, light or dark versus light, helps you to better understand an area, then do it. Because this area goes deeper down inside the mouth of this piece, I'm going to come up here with a little darkness coming up, okay? Now I've got 3 more to go. It could be that I'm going to do, watch what I'm going to do right here. I'm going to very lightly go corner to corner. See this, what would be normally a square, it's more like a trapezoid right now. I'm going to go corner to corner, and this middle point where the 2 intersects, that's the middle of this shape. If I project straight up, now I'm using my ruler again, straight up like this, off of that, then I can go ahead and find that and that. I'm making fins, like the fins of a rocket. That's a very skinny fin right there. And that one, I probably should have made a pyramid out of that, but that's okay. I'm going to darken this one so you understand that that is something severely foreshortened, seen from the angle, and I'll just freehand a little ball on top, a little finial on top, okay? So believe it or not, it's almost like a paper Christmas tree with 4 fins coming out. That could be 3-dimensional if you think of this portion sticking out, okay? So that's 3 things. Let me go ahead and I'm going to make that checkerboard. Now a checkerboard sits on the surface, so there's one of the checkers of the checkerboard, and then I'm going to come over here. I skip. Let's make sure that this one is dark also. I'm just going to go with the darker ones. You know how a checkerboard is a combination of light and dark. I'm going to do this one right here. And I'll go ahead and add a little tone to that. Just scrub it in so you better understand how that moves back along the surface. Looks like I could even go back and do this one if I wanted to. It's partly hidden by the thing in front of it. And this one here. Because it's so close to the eye, the bird looking straight down, I'm going to go ahead and scrub in a little value there. Okay, and clean up that edge with my eraser. So you see that progressively going into the background there. So that really helps to move the eye back, the fact that alternating pattern going back and reinforcing, and get reinforced dark and also getting smaller as it goes. That doesn't really count as a building. Let's see if we can squeeze 2 more structures, buildings or otherwise, in here. I'm going to go with, let's do some more freehand. I'm going to do this again, corner to corner. Let's see what results. I'm going to come up here with that center line. There's the point floating above. And then from that point, like a pyramid, connecting to all these outside edges, different from what we last did, this is going to be my pyramid. It has 4 sides. We only see 2 of them. And I'll darken one of the sides so you can better understand light from dark and how the surfaces face off in different directions. Put another finial right there. So you can see how I continue to find areas to build off of. Let's see, let's do this. Let's go with cross piece here and do something else. Going through the middle, vanishing point here. Let's see where it intersects, there and there. From the middle, projecting out. And again, using right vanishing point, projecting out this way. These points are where a circle, if I inscribe a circle here, would touch the edges of my square shape. Like that, not perfect. And then if I come off of those edges like this, what do I have? Well, I have a cylinder. Now, cylinders rely on a curved surface, and curved surface is not easily achieved with a ruler. Curved lines aren't, but you can see how I inscribed, using my lines to find the middle of each line segment, how I inscribed a circle in there, and then that becomes my cylinder right there. And that cylinder could continue on down here if you wanted to. Let's extend these lines down. Let me extend that line down. And the shading becomes less and less as this gets smaller in size. Is that 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 plus a little extra. I'm going to go back here and reinforce the horizon line. And let's see, what could I add to the sky? Well, very simply, I might do some birds and might do some clouds. I'm going to draw the clouds closer to the horizon, smaller, okay, that's smaller, and clouds that are farther away from the horizon line. This is the horizon line. Here, let's put some rain coming out of this cloud. Sheets of rain seen at a distance, okay? And here's another cloud, but it's going to be bigger, okay, because in the sky, the clouds that are closest to you are higher up and straight overhead. So here I have my clouds, maybe put a little sunshine there. A lot of this is just freehand drawing. It doesn't involve the ruler at all, but remembering how important the ruler was for establishing a grid pattern off of your vanishing points, and then using the base, each of these grids, or some of these grids, to create the base, or in this case the top of some object, some three-dimensional object that then you developed a little bit more. Maybe I'll go ahead right here, and I'm going to put in a skinny little window right there, okay? If you ever had me for 6th grade and you did a picture called Cloud City, some of this looks familiar, except it's more complicated. All right, now you try.